have a speaker who I find as a very, very amazing woman. And it's going to be a fireside chat, meaning that while she's going to be sharing a lot of insights on how you can scale your journey, we also want it to be engaging for you to ask as many questions as possible. I see this as an opportunity to get insights from someone who has been in this same level that you are and can give you tips to scale your career. So please, when I say round of applause, a very resounding round of applause for Onyeka Nwobu. Okay, we're back on track. Alright, so we're going to jump into it. Again, a big apology for the sound inconvenience, but now we're going to jump right into it. So let's take that away. Very briefly, just quickly introduce yourself, maybe in a line or two, and then we'll jump into the questions so that everybody can hear you clearly.
Okay, sorry about not being able to project my voice back, but I was sharing for today. Let's think of me as a human development strategist, and basically what that means is I'm very, very passionate about empowering people, creating access to opportunities so that people can have a better life. I do that, I have many expressions in which I do that through education, women, leadership empowerment, strategy. That's me in a nutshell, so yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Alright, today the panel question topic is going to be focused on from generalist to specialist. And the reason why we selected this very specific topic is, again, I had mentioned that you are currently at a stage in your career where, if I'm correct, you want to be known for something, right? You are maybe you're good at so many things, but there's one thing that if somebody thinks of your name, you want them to know you for that thing. Am I right? Are you currently at that stage in your career? Yes. Alright, so this conversation is going to be focused on how you can utilize the tips that Onyeka is going to be sharing to help you move from just being a generalist into being a specialist. Now, we don't have an issue with you being a jack of all trades, but again, the goal of this conversation, the goal of the entire conversation from this summit is how you as women, how we as women can contribute to Africa's economic growth through innovation. And for us to innovate, there's a need for you to be good at least at one thing. Right, so we'll jump into the questions, and I will start with the first one on you just sharing a bit about your career.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic. Maybe we'll find my trajectory very interesting. I started out in the fashion and media space. I started out as, I've shared this a couple of times, as a social media manager. And I think just bounced around quite a couple of industries. I had the privilege of exploring, if you're talking fashion, media, finance, logistics, I did all of that. I think in trying to find my way, somehow I stumbled across brand strategy as a career. And that was during my time in an advertising agency. Then moved on to, I think that was when I left. I went back to fashion, but I focused on sustainable fashion, and then moved up to the tech industry. And that's sort of how I found myself here. And I think I should point out that in being in tech industry, I didn't come in to start all over again. What I did was I transferred all of that knowledge that I had as a brand strategist, and actually, it never really was a thing when I joined the tech industry. I don't know that it still is, but I basically transferred all of that knowledge to the tech industry, and I've been playing in the space ever since. And yeah, I think just tying back a little bit to during my time at fashion, one thing I noticed was just gender equality was a thing that kept popping up. And when I say I moved back to fashion, what I mean is I started a fashion resale company with my sister, fashion resale and financial literacy company with my sister. And so that's also been a line with which I've been. So right now, I would just say I'm at a place where I'm tying all of those things, both the technology, the gender equality, leadership, all of those things, education, I'm bringing them all together. And so, yeah, that's a bit about my story in summary. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, so a lot of these ladies here are, when you're at this stage in your career, there's a decision that sometimes might feel hasty, sometimes it might feel like you draw on it for so long. How do I become better at this one thing? Or I don't have joy in this thing, but I spent X number of years in this field, and I want to, maybe, for example, you mentioned that you pivoted from like different fields, and maybe I'm in software engineering, but I don't want to be a software engineer for life. I want to go into maybe something like product management, but I have been doing software engineering for 3 years, 4 years, right? How do I pivot into that field in a way that, it doesn't make me start from scratch? You had mentioned that when you pivoted, you didn't have to like start all over again. So how did they make that switch without it, causing like a big break or a big delay in their career growth?
I would think the first thing is really mindset. That's what I'm going to address, is that when you are making that pivot, the first thing that's most important is for you to not see yourself as you're starting all over again. What you're basically doing is, whether you like it or not, you're moving up. I mean, you're making a decision to transition from a specific niche, maybe, into another niche. That is still progress. So the first thing, and I want to point that out because that's usually the blocker, is like, oh, I'm starting again. And the reason why the mindset is important is, if you have the mindset that you're not starting again, what happens is you begin to tie in similarities between what have I been doing and where am I going. You have to find, a lot of things have common ground. That's one thing that we need to do. A lot of things have common ground. It doesn't even matter, like if I said today right now, like, oh, I wanted to go into UX design, or I wanted to go into even software, there are things that are applicable from me being a brand strategist to, moving into that space. So I first have to come with that mindset and then start to identify what are the similarities so that I can give myself a softer landing, right? And then I think there's just a place for, you want to really learn as much as you can about where you're going into, because I think that's the knowledge gap often causes for us to not be able to move into setting roles or new niches as quickly as we maybe would think we can. So you want to cover that gap with learning about, as much as I know these are the similarities, I also want to be able to figure out what really makes people, if I'm starting out here, what can help me grow my career? What do I need to know? Who are people to shadow or something, like what insights do I need to have to be able to move in here, just to cover that gap. So those are 3 key things, and I would say, like, it's just the way that I'm speaking from my experience. It's just the way that I was able to go about it. Like, first thing I said to myself is, you can't have done years in something and just come and be like, boom, I'm a newcomer. I don't think like that makes any sense. You just sort of have to see yourself as, oh, there's a connecting point, and I'm sort of connecting my journey to my next phase, because we all have next phases, and it's completely normal.
Okay, so I'm just going to piggyback off what you have said. You had mentioned that, moving into the other field from fashion into tech, you are taking some skills. What are some transferable skills that you utilized to help you continue your journey seamless? It might not be so like 100% seamless, but to continue your journey seamlessly, and in a way that you pitched to persons, maybe hiring companies in the tech industry, that you have the value that they're looking for, even if maybe you don't have like all the experience in that field. How were you able to do that?
I want to point out a skill that, some people, you might think this is a skill for people who are designed to specialize in it. But the first thing that's very important for you to learn if you're going to make a pivot is sales. You need to learn how to sell yourself, right? You really need to know, you can call sales pitching if you want to call it that, but it's really sales. You have to be able to sell people that, look, either I know I'm relatively new in the sense that I've not been in this specific vertical, but I can actually, I'm just as good as anybody else who has been here, because I'm bringing a wealth of knowledge from somewhere else and I'm actually adding value. So I would say sales. I would also say this is not a skill that is talked about a lot here, but like just I'm such a curious person. And I think curiosity is a skill because it's very easy for you to be like, oh, I scroll through social media, sin, like, oh, yes, I've learned this, I've learned that. There's a need for you to be so curious that you go very, very deep into what do I actually need to do, or how do I keep improving myself? You just need to be absolutely curious. I don't think we can mention a lot of things now, but like I really think curiosity is what will keep you, because you keep finding new ways for you to either sell yourself, help people, connect what you were doing before to what you're doing now. So sales and curiosity are two key skills that I think like we need to develop. And I want to harp specifically on sales because I know that's not something people cringe when they hear sales, and people just say like, oh, I could be here and somebody might want to walk up to me and say like, I don't want to talk to Onyeka because like I just feel like I'll be selling myself. The thing about sales is like it's not about saying hire me. That's not what sales is. It's not about saying hire me. It's about listening, which is another skill. It's about listening. You have to listen to people. You have to get to learn about people. You have to know, okay, where do I fit into? How can I even help, right? It's not about saying, I do this and then hire me. I'm good at it. That's not sales. So you really need to learn the art of sales, which would be like art of persuasion. You need to be able to persuade people, and not in a way that seems pushy, but in a way that lets them know that I understand what you need, and I think I'm the ideal person that can help, even if not now. So, yeah.
Did we get that? Was that powerful? Please let's give her a round of applause. So my next question is around effective growth, and I'll give context to this. When we're planning for this summit, we had a lot of inflow tickets. People were buying tickets for this category and the other category, but we struggled so much with getting people to get tickets for the Trailblazer category. She's looking at me. And that is the reality. So this was also a mini experiment for us, right? We keep talking about how we want women to get into tech, but then we realize that the pipeline or the funnel is very tiny at the top.
Yes.
And at this stage, again, this is a very critical stage where they are, where decisions that they make in this stage either makes them or mar them.
Yes.
And for many times, they're also at the stage where many of them, okay, let me not generalize, but people at this stage, they also look out for other things beyond career, family, marriage, etc. And again, sometimes the decisions that you make in this stage can make or mar you. And you work with a lot of women in career development. So this stage where they are, the next stage is a lot of leadership.
Yes.
I've spoken to women who are scared of leadership and who would rather become individuals. There's a word for it. I see individual contributors than take up leadership. Other persons like that, and it's fine. Like we're in a safe space. Awesome, we can say that, right? But the real truth is that for us to really make a change in this economy, and even in the industry, we need more women who are being able to like take up leadership positions to make decisions on our behalf. Women who would build these policies, work on these policies for us. So what are the advices that you would give them to help them, first of all, not be scared to take up leadership positions, and how to position themselves for those leadership positions? Because we've talked about sales, selling yourselves, but then that's in the aspect of, trying to like pivot into another level. For maybe there are persons who they're not trying to pivot into another field, but they want to advance in that particular field that they're. How do they do that?
Okay, the first thing I want to share is I just want to put some context as to when we recline and take the back seats. I want to give you a bit of context. Right now, I think it's a statistic by the UN. We are it's going to take us 130 years at least to reach parity. What that means is basically before you start to earn like male counterparts, before you start to have access to the same types of opportunities, that's 130 years. And I think it's very interesting when we come into rooms like this and like, yes, we are empowering each other, but when it's time to go into
when it's time to go into the marketplace, the workplace, we start to take a back seat. I just want you to think about how, to be very honest, I'm going to be dead by then, probably. Not to sound dark, but like we're not going to be there. But maybe think about, and how I like to contextualize this with women that I speak to and work with is, maybe think about your kids, what you want for them to enjoy. Maybe think about people that you love and the women you love. Maybe start to contextualize, because it's really beyond you. If you step into a role of leadership, or if you're able to push yourself to start developing your leadership skills, it's not about you, it's beyond you. So it's okay to say like, oh, I'm not a natural leader, but I really think it can be learned, right? So in sharing that, I would say, like to what Ada mentioned, there are people right now who are making decisions on behalf of you and don't understand what you need and what can help you grow and what can help you scale in life or have a better life. They are only in those positions because you allow them, to be very honest. The moment you step up, you start to push and fight for your own space, you're going to take that space, right? And you're going to be able to make decisions that not only impact your life positively, but impact the lives of other people. So I think my key advice is like, get over yourself. Like leadership is not all because, and by the way, we're not going into the concept of leadership. Leadership is not, oh, I want to be the boss, right? That's not what it's about. It's, oh, I want to serve people. I want people to have better opportunities, better lives. So if you have that context in mind, I'll just say, get over yourself and step up, because you need to, even in the context of like being an individual contributor, you might not have gotten or summoned the courage yet to step into, or even the expertise, because leadership requires expertise. I don't want to, like lie to anybody here, but I would say be around, go and start surrounding yourselves with women, people. It's not just women, men and women, right? That can actually help you develop your leadership, right? And help you move into spaces where you can start to make decisions, or you can start to be part of the people who are, how would I put it now, giving those who are making decisions on your behalf, giving them a platform, because leaders also need a boost, right? So I would say surround yourself with people, but first of all, get over yourself. I don't know if that's the question itself about leadership, them stepping into leadership. Yes. Yeah, that's basically what I would share. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So, to piggyback off what you have said, you said leadership requires expertise.
Yes.
Again, we understand that there are persons here who are scared of leadership.
Yeah.
And I just want to also put it out there. Even those of us who are in leadership position, we're also scared, but we don't
Yes.
show it.
Yes.
Right. So, how do they move from being like generalist to
Yes.
specialist? So now let's focus on how they can intensify
Yeah.
their skills.
Yeah.
And when people think of their name,
Yeah.
they think of one thing before every
Yeah.
other thing.
Yeah.
So what practical steps would you tell
Yeah.
them or advise them take to like deepen their knowledge and their
Yeah.
expertise in their chosen fields?
Yeah. So I want to share that Adeze, who was supposed to be here, I was supposed to moderate the panel session, and naturally, I went and I learned about her journey. And in learning about her journey, I could also see similarities between her journey and the journeys of people who have actually gotten to, positions of leadership. And one thing I saw, because if we're talking about practicality, one thing I saw or I've seen is, or I saw with Adeze's story is how she was able to serve, putting herself in that position where what really drew out those skills, that the leadership skills that she built, was serving under leaders. Now, I really think in this time and age that we're in, and I'll speak very honestly as women, it's very nice to see people like Ada and I sitting on the stage and just be like, I want to jump here. You don't build expertise by jumping to the front. Matter of fact, to be honest, I mean, God has done it. I built a personal brand, but I'd much rather be helping. If God had not said like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, you won't find me here. I spent years, probably until I started my company, working for people, and that's why I deepen my expertise. And the reason why I point this out is there are things you will never know until you see people who have been there. There are things you will never know how to do. It's not, they don't sell it on Google. You can't buy it. There are challenges that you will encounter that you will never know how to solve until someone who has been there tells you, oh, this happened to me, and here's how I did it. And the other person tells you another way how they solved that problem and how they built that expertise. So there are things you never. Service is a skill as young women you need to adopt now. Learn to serve people. It's going to, how do I put it now? You can't, there's no school that's better than doing it in person and doing it with somebody holding your hand. There's no school. So the practical skill, I'll tell you, go and reframe your mindset and learn how to serve. I served at least, even my company is still serving, but let me say before I made the pivot to building my company, at least 7 years. And that's how I can do anything in my sleep. If you call me in my field, I can do it in my sleep. And I think that it probably takes people longer, but it took me that 7 years, 8 years, thereabout, to rise to C-level. That's how you learn how to do things. That's how you build expertise. So I can come here now and say, buy some course and do this and do that. That's nice. Yes, you should. Absolutely. I think that there's so many ways that you should upskill yourself, but I think when you learn to serve, you will glean so much. You will be built in such a way that the person next to you, they don't stand a chance. So that's what I would say.
I think a takeaway, thank you, please let's give her a round of applause. I think that a takeaway from what you just said, she said so many powerful things, like I've just been, But a takeaway from everything that she has said so far is leadership is service, right?
Yes.
And to be a leader, you need to understand and learn how to serve others. It's not just about the title, because with more title comes more words, more responsibility.
Yeah.
So you've also talked about how, serving other people. So now we're going to this question where I want to ask if you think that they need sponsors and mentors to move into this next phase, right? And this question is, I'm also very keen to hear your thoughts on this. Because for me, my journey involved partly working with mentors and sponsors, but a lot of it, I did it like on my own, doggedness.
Yes.
But that took me like a longer time. Right. So I want to know, like, what are your thoughts? Do they need mentors? Do they need sponsors? And then how do they go about getting these mentors and sponsors?
Yeah. I similar to you, I have the same story. But I would say how I reframed my thinking around sponsors, or mentors rather, not sponsors, is I don't have to know this person to mentor me. That's just the truth. I've been mentored since 2020 by Sarah Jakes Roberts. She has no clue who I am. It's just what it is. Like, you don't need for that person to know you. So yes, you do need mentors. The other angle to mentorship is because I really think I mentor women, but my approach is different. I see a lot of people being mentored by people, and it's made me sort of dial back a bit from actively saying like, oh, I want you to be my mentor, because I don't agree with that style of mentorship. I really think that mentorship can be effective, can only be very effective when there's friendship. I don't think here, I don't like it. I don't see how it works, right? Yes, you can give me good advice, but the truth is, the younger person can also help you, so like that's not what it's about. I think you genuinely have to care about people, be invested in their lives to mentor them. That's what I think about mentorship, which brings me to the point is, right now, I'm currently being mentored by my friends. It's just what it is. I don't rush and be like, oh, I see, maybe someone who's more established, a man or a woman. I don't go and rush and be like, oh, mentor me. That's no. Like, I would sit down, I can watch their videos, I can learn from them. When I get in conversation with them, I ask them questions. That's great, but like, I am not going to die until you mentor. Like, no, that's not what it's about. So I really think there are people who are maybe they are not exactly in the same, maybe they're slightly higher up, but it's that you have shared stories. I think we maybe need to look into that for people to mentor us. I'm coming to sponsors because that's a very different conversation. And you can have many different types of mentors. There's the everyday conversation mentor. There's the mentor who checks in with you maybe once in a while. There's things like that. So I think you should maybe just look at it like it cascades down. You can't have, it's not just one mentor. And maybe you also want to consider, I think what I'm saying is mentors are very important. That's the summary. But you maybe also want to consider mentors for the different aspects of your life, because mentorship is really what you're looking for is sound advice, sound guidance. Now, somebody who is sound spiritually might not be sound in business or career. So you want to segment. Who are the marketing people here? Anyone? Yes, so you maybe want to practice segmentation, right? And know that for spirituality, this person mentors me. For career, this person mentors me. For lifestyle, health, this person mentors me. Because somebody can be poor in business advice and very sound in spiritual advice. So you want to bear that in mind. Now, to sponsorship, I really think that it is how do I put it now? You absolutely, if you're a woman who is going to move up to leadership, you absolutely, absolutely need a sponsor. You need somebody who is at the top, who is advocating on your behalf. You need that person. That person is not your everyday chit-chatty. Could be. Most likely won't be. Not your everyday chit-chatty. That person is the person that knows, like, this person has integrity, our values align, this person can get the job done. Most times I would say, like, it's just favor. Like, a person will just be like, I will speak on your behalf. The person doesn't know why. They're just speaking on your behalf. You need those kinds of people. My advice is very personal. You don't have to take it. In terms of finding sponsors, is pray to God to just align you to the person or put you on the person's heart so that the person can speak your name in rooms where you may not be or you may not have dreamt of even being. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're in a male-dominated industry, and at the top of the funnel or the pipeline is a lot of men. So how do these women get to include men as allies in this conversation for their advancement?
It's a very good question. When I said my mentors are my friends, maybe it's just the way my life is designed. I don't have a thing against I don't have a thing against women friendship, but people who have groomed me in business are actually men, and they're my friends. So I would say the first thing I see that is a blocker is I don't want to start a conversation here, but if you have any mindset, if you have any form of trauma, anything that tells you it's men versus women, erase it. That's the first thing I'll tell you. Men are fantastic allies. Contrary to popular belief, there are still good men that exist in the workplace that will hold your hand, teach you, vouch for you. They are still good men. So I think the blocker between you finding an ally who is male, most likely, most times, will be yourself. Right? Because if you really think that, oh, this women empowerment, women leadership thing is about, oh, I'll find another woman that, it doesn't work like that. You'll find another woman that will block you. You'll be shocked. You find another woman that will block you. So what you need to do is first remove that mindset. And I think there's a level of discipline that you need to build. There's a level of, because there's borderline, it can get funny. Quickly in the workplace, borderline. You have to build a level of discipline where you can have male allies, you can go to men for things. You don't have to compromise yourself. They don't need to convince you to compromise yourself or anything, right? So I really think that first is the mindset. Secondly, it's build that discipline to be able to say, this person is helping me, this person, I can interact. I know, and I'm speaking in this context because we are Nigerian and we're African, and there are a lot of things there are a lot of nuances to our mindset or the way that we think or approach things. There could be religion, there could be tradition. Hey, God forbid, don't let me be seen with him. No, that's not what don't God forbid. You can actually talk to men one-on-one, like you can be a professional, hold your ground, have these men support you. And I think just understand one thing. Men have been privy to certain information and insights for a longer time that we don't have. So they can actually Share things that it might be so tiny. You just be like, that's a game changer. That's a little thing you do. They know how they liaise. There's a reason why it's male dominated. So I think it's an advantage if you can find male allies, you have a serious advantage in the workplace.
Very quickly, I'm going to ask this question, and then there's a question that's going to follow up with it, but I'll let you answer this. And it is regarding developing the ambition and the desire to make a difference. Right. Again, this is a very critical stage. I've seen women who get to this stage in their career and just want to do the average. You know, go to work, do my 9 to 5, and just have peace of mind. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to make change. I just want to do my thing. But again, the reason why we're having this conversation is to spur change. Because before they get to that level, we want to see more women doing things. Right, so that it's easier for them in the next stage to be able to, efficiently do these things. So what would you I would like you to just touch around that, how they can go ahead to develop this ambition. And that desire to constantly want to make change.
I'll tell you where my ambition comes from. I don't know what a lot of people think about me, but there's a notion slightly that, oh, I come from money or whatever. I don't. That's the first thing, is that when you think about Jesus, my parents suffered, my God, and then you think about all the suffering you had to go through yourself just because your parents suffered. That alone is enough. Then I want to come to the fact that you are Nigerian. If you can, because the thing about this question is, we want people to, as women, it's what I've said, always inspire us, always motivate us. You don't have ambition on your own, you're going to be in trouble. It's the truth. If you don't look around you and see how set back you are just by the fact that you are Nigerian. If you don't look around you, and that does not make you, there's something called holy anger. You should be holy, angrily holy, whatever, I don't know. But you should have that holy anger to say, like, because when you look at it and when we look at ourselves, you always need to, something that helps build this ambition and desires. Try not in a way where like you're comparing, but sort of do it's comparison, but it's healthy. Do the comparison between someone at your stage who maybe is a US citizen or UK citizen and see how set back you are. That's enough for you to be like, my life will change. Not only will my life change, generations are going to change. It's enough. So how you develop that ambition, I will tell you very honest because I'm contextualizing this conversation. Ambition is not something that, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm waiting for somebody to like, I wake up every day, I'm just like, one small girl in university somewhere is literally like cashing the kind of money that you toil to make here. So it's enough for you to say, like, when you think back on, and some people might come from privileged places, but the truth about it is, everybody around you affects you. So whether you come from a privileged background or not, it doesn't matter. The person who is around you, you're going to need people to work with you and for you. So you need to have the ambition to say, like, I'm going to change things around me so that my life too I can maintain that standard that my parents have probably set for me. So, I think ambition is really a thing of, you have to tell yourself, you have to really look at it and be like, what is my life now? When I look at where I am, like, is this enough? Can things be better? You have to, how do I put it now? I don't know whether it's meditate on those things, but not in a bad way, but just in a way that it becomes fuel for you. You have to make all of the pain, I don't know your personal pain, all of the pain of being Nigerian, being a woman. There are things that just because you're a woman, they tell you, shut up. You can't speak. All of that pain, put it in a ball, turn it into fuel, let that be your driver. Let that be your driver.
I have a follow-up question that is not, I didn't plan to ask that question.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, people walk up to me, oh, I want to make a difference, but I don't want to be out there. It's not something I want to constantly do.
Yeah.
And I want to do it from comfort of my own space.
Yeah.
How do they, be able to like differentiate the thirst for leadership and change in such a way that it's not aggressive?
Right.
For those who are saying, oh, I want to do something different, but I don't want to be Ada Nduka Oyom, who is out there. I don't want to be Onyeka Nwobu. I want to do it from my own space, but I want to make change. How do they do that?
So if I understand the question correctly, is there are people who want to make change but don't want to be
okay,
in
maybe I
the
can rephrase
spotlight.
it. There are persons who are scared of making change because they think that it's too aggressive. It's too out there. It involves a lot of sacrifice. But we need these women to make change. So how do they go about that? Changing that mindset.
Is it, to be very honest, is it changing mindset? Because I don't want to lie to you guys. Is it changing mindset? The truth is, making a difference. The name of my company is Disruptive by Design. I don't know how I got that name. I probably woke up and God was like, Disruptive by Design. I was like, yeah, I like it. I didn't really know what it meant. I'm just seeing what it means now. The reason why I'm pointing this out is you can't make a difference and not be out there. It's not, so what I mean is being out there, let's reframe being out. Being out there is not having a personal brand, by the way. It's not being popular. It's that when they speak on certain things where you're making change, your name is definitely mentioned. That's what it means. Your name will come up. I would say that it also sort of, because what you're doing when you're making a change is just understand that you're disrupting a system. You're disrupting something that already exists. So trying to make change already, I can understand why they feel that way. There are people who say, I don't want to be different. And I get it. Because I think they are right to say that they are aware. It does put a target on your back to an extent. It does make you a focal point. Because people come to you, both the people that you're actually making a change for them and the people who you're disrupting the system that they set up. So I think there's that consciousness. But it's not something to be, how do I put it? It does not mean it's scary or it's supposed to scare you. Change is, how do I put it now? Change is necessary. Whether you do it or you don't do it, somebody's going to do it. It's needed. So I would say getting over that fear is you have to be able to, if you are very sure and you have the conviction that this is what you have been destined to do, it's part of your purpose, you have to bite the bullets. Somebody has to. We can't all just sit down and be looking at each other and be like, oh my gosh, and dollar is this and this is that. Like, somebody has to bite the bullet. So I think you can obviously, again, reframe your mindset from, I have to be out there. But the thing is, you have to make, how do I put it, aggressively good moves to change people. And that does not mean you have to be out there and be like a public figure. There are people that are moving things that you don't know who they are. You have no clue. You will only know them or see them in very, very closed rooms. So it's not about being out there, but the kind of change that they are making, we can tell stories about it. So I think you get over that change by knowing that, one, it's necessary. And to be very honest, this is just my personal belief. Life is beyond you. It's my personal belief. If you're saying, oh, you're scared, we were literally put on earth to do things. Your life is beyond you. When we come and we have this, selfish ambition, or we have this selfish idea of this is how things should go, and you sit on something that you know that you are the only one that can make that change because you're the only one that has that unique gift, your life is not about you. And from personal experience, trust me, you don't want God to be the one to force you to do something. It's not nice sometimes, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And I said I had a piggyback question from that, right? Another thing that we're trying to encourage, not just for women in this stage of your career, but for every woman, is the art of getting other women into those spaces, right? It might not be termed mentorship, right? But how do we encourage these girls, these women, to leave the door open for, now we're at SES Summit and it's almost like it's been categorized. So how do we encourage them to leave the door open for those who are in next gen, who are in Spark, like lesser years than them, as they are going into the next stage in their life. How do they do that in such a way that that door is not closed and we can continue to grow that pipeline?
I think in the context of women leaving doors open for other women, I'd say the first thing is, please, can we drop this whole thing of another woman's success is not a threat in any way? It like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe, I think, and I think that comes from a place of, first of all, you have to have self-security, self-assuredness. I am in education, which means I run programs, and in up to 6 months, I can see a student of mine do like this, and she's in a position that I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not even there. That's what happens. And you know what? I count it joy. The reason why I count it joy is it's beautiful to see, like, I pull up, they pull me up. The truth about you going up is it does not mean you will be up all the time. There are times where you will slide back down, and it's the person that you built or left the door open for that will pull you back up. Life is not, oh, I'm up, then I'm up forever. That's not life. So I think the first thing is, can we stop being our own nemesis, or can we stop this whole feeling threatened by another woman? And another thing is, when you get to a phase, understand that you have passed through a phase. There's no, the reason why I'm citing this is, the reason why I started a leadership school for women is, I just see that there are so many things that people know, but then they will just keep it and hoard it and just keep it. I'm just like, but you've passed this stage, you're never gonna use this again. Put it in a box, open it up to the world, gift it, right? So when you learn something, another way to, if you're not, because blocking somebody does not mean like, oh, you need to necessarily feel threatened. It's you're not sharing. You're not sharing with people. Why? Like, what are you gonna use knowledge that you've used to scale to another level? What are you gonna? Why are you keeping it? Open your mouth and stop keeping things. When you know, oh, this, it's not that, oh, I know there's an opportunity, and maybe it's a thing of, even someone that you could be mentoring, you just be like, oh, try, and that person gets it, and you may not, and it's fine. The point is, if you know something, tell people. If you've learned something, share. Because the real gap, the real thing that is holding like women moving up is there's a gap in knowledge. There's so much women, they are not, and like we come and it's okay, like I feel like social media does us a disservice because we feel like we know a lot until you realize you don't. Until you realize that they're just stuffing your brain with stuff that feels like air. So you need to, on your own, when you scale past a level, make it a responsibility. I think it's what makes you a responsible human, a good person. Oh, I'm going to teach the next person, even if it means I drop it on a Google Drive, even if it means I speak. Sometimes speaking is not about standing on stage and then, I snap nice picture. That's not what it's about. It's like, I just want to transfer knowledge. That's what it is. This is a knowledge sharing session. It's not me coming here to be a star. No. So, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be taking questions very soon. Other persons with questions here? Okay, we have a few hands. We'll call you up on stage. But to wrap up this conversation, right, let's think about legacy. It's something that I'm very, very interested in, right? I always ask myself, when people think of the name Nduka Oyom, beyond Chikod Africa, what do I want them to remember me for? And there was a time I was having a conversation with myself, I think that was last year, and this might sound dark, but honestly, it's good. I said, if I die today, I'm going to die with peace. Like, I'm going to be happy. Yeah. Because I feel like I have done my thing here, right? But then there are women here who don't really feel that, not dying, please. But, they're not content with how far they have gone. But for you, when you think of legacy, your own legacy, and then legacy of us as women in the tech industry, what do you think, what do you see, and what do you want to do for the next generation of these women who are coming into the industry?
So what my legacy is, what legacy I want to leave.
When you think of your legacy and what you want to leave.
I really would like to be remembered as the woman who created a platform, um, created opportunities for other women to actually step into decision-making roles. Now, for me, it's not just that you're in leadership. It's like, can they give you and say, put your signature? That's the only way things will move. Can they say, she just approved this, so things can move? So my own legacy would be to be able to help women in tech, make it a thing where, because all this whole she's the first to, you know, and she's the first woman is played out and it's boring. I've been hearing that since I was a child. I'm quite frankly tired because what is it that can be done? I don't understand it. Women are, you're very, very capable. So my own thing is to be able to equip, I want to be remembered as that person that would share all of the knowledge, all of the insights, that we're able to help women, that we're able to equip them to actually rise to, and there's rising to, and there's remaining in. So rise to and remain in decision-making roles. I hope that that answers simply. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask a few persons questions. Yes, please, please. Thank you. So while we take questions, I'll call out those who raised their hands up for questions. But before we take questions, I'm throwing this question to you as well. You're not beginners, but you're not experts per se, right? Again, you're at that stage where you're trying to define and you're trying to become a specialist. But while you're thinking of how to become a specialist, I want you to leave this room with that thought of what's the legacy that I'm going to be leaving for other women. If I die, what will people remember me for? The people who die and, after 2 to 3 days, it's just like family members who remember them for the rest of their lives. But then there are individuals, there are personalities that you care of, and for years and years to come, people continue to talk about the impact of their work. So it might not even be a life legacy. It could be at your current company. When I leave this company, what do I want them to remember me for? I've worked at organizations where when somebody leaves, like for months and months, oh, how I wish X person was here, oh, this person did X, Y, Z. So I want you, while you're leaving this room, to think about this. So now we'll take questions. Because of time, we'll only take 3 questions. I'm going to, okay, so I know your hands was up. Please come to the front. There's somebody at the back there. Yes, with the glasses. Please come to the front. Thank you. So you make your questions very, very brief and who it's addressed to. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. My question is addressed to Onyeka. My name is Fivo, and I currently am a data analyst, and I also mentor people in data because, I don't know, for some reason, people think I am very good at data, and I don't think I am very good at data. But how do you deal with imposter syndrome and fear? Because I have a lot of anxiety, because now it feels like there's a lot of women looking up on me. For some reason, my Twitter account now became a serious account because I posted I wanted to be a mentor, and that's a lot of pressure on me, and I don't know how to deal with that.
First thing I want to clear up is that I'm very sure you are good at what you do. Um, otherwise you would not be doing what you are actually doing, and people wouldn't be coming to you. So I think the first thing, because she mentioned anxiety, and anxiety is something I battle with a lot. I really struggle. Sometimes my body shuts down. One thing well, I'll speak from a point of view of psychology, because I think it's very important that you understand what your brain is doing and how it may be tricking you. I don't know, I think I was listening to something else. It's called the chimp something. I don't know. But basically, anxiety, first of all, when you're shutting down, just know that you're not actually shutting down. Your body is just signaling something to you, first of all. Like, let's be clear, like you're not shutting down. And I would say in terms of imposter syndrome is you need to document your work, your wins, your work and your wins. You need to document your work and your wins because I get how it's so easy for me as a person to just feel like I want to disappear from anything social media. I don't want to be out there. I don't want to talk to anybody again because like I feel like I'm not good enough for this. But every time, and I document by journaling, I have a lot of clips of myself. My friend says one day, like, we're going to put everything together and put it on Netflix. I have a lot of clips of myself. I have a lot of my wins. Like, I go back to things like I've journaled. I go back to work that I've done for people. And I'm just like, well, if my brain can trick me, I can trick my brain back. And trick my brain back to, well, it's not even really tricking because mine, that is a trick. My own is facts, right? So it's like, for real, I did this. And so if I did this, then I'm definitely who I think I am, right? So I really think that documenting, we don't, and not documenting so that you can share with the world, but it's literally like something that I'm learning to do now is after I finish working, I write the case study. I'm someone who's very result oriented, so I would go back and I would ask like, what was the impact of this thing I did with this company? And I would ask them, I want to find out. Sometimes I would do my own scouring and find this is what happened. I track people. I literally see people in my leadership school, women in my leadership school, I will follow their journeys. I'd be like, oh, so this person went from this to this to this. That means I'm not a phony. I'm not a fake. I don't come and tell people, oh, I want to teach you XYZ in my program because I feel like doing it. I actually have something special that helps people grow. So I think the thing that I can share practically that works for me, somebody else might be able to give you more insights, but you need to document your work and you need to document your wins. Every time you feel like that, go back and look at it. Be feeling sad, but be looking at it. Yeah, be looking at it.
Thank you. Okay, so you with the glasses? The glasses. Very briefly, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I really enjoyed your session.
Thank you.
So my question is, and it's even like piggyback off your last answer, what Ada asked about what legacy do you want to leave, right? And you said you want to be able to like train women and help them to get into those roles.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm the kind of person that I wouldn't say I like to teach people, but so for example, the people that I work with, like people on my team, I've noticed that by the time I explain things to them, I might not be an expert in it, but I'll just be able to point out, oh, this is how you're meant to do this, and I'll see the growth. But there are times when I feel like if I go online and start teaching these things to people, there might be a scrutiny of my own work, in the sense that I'm someone who knows a little about design.
Yeah.
So I can look at the designer's work, and that is what even happened with designer on my team. And over time, he has grown.
Yeah.
He even came to tell me that like they've actually grown.
Yeah.
I can look at the social media person, the video editor, she has grown. But I feel like if I start talking about certain things or teaching about certain things, people might look at me and say, oh, you have not done it like personally in your own life. So if you're that kind of person who maybe knows how to teach or has knowledge in a specific area, but it's not just something you've done practically in your own life, how do you balance that? Do you just go past that and just teach regardless because you need to make an impact on the person? Or do you wait to build it in your own life first?
Yeah.
Very briefly, thank you.
I'm building 2 schools now. And I don't know anything about, I didn't know anything about education. What it sounds to me like, and you might not have identified this, is you have a fear of the deep work that is required from your end. There's a need for you to, once you say you're teaching people, you become the student. That's just the truth. You become the student. So there's a lot of, you go back to school. So what I would share with you is push past the fear. There's nothing you can't learn. As long as you know there's nothing you can't learn, it means there's nothing you can't teach. So go and learn it. You want to teach more of this, go inside, learn it, go deeper, right? That's the very, very simple advice that I would give you. I'm not an educator by training or whatever, but that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Thank you. Your name and what the Lord has done for you. Very simple, very brief. Thank you.
My name is Brima, and I have 2 questions, but I'll be very fast. So the very first one is, what if you are not afraid to serve, right?
Yes.
So you work with a team, and you're kind of always on the spot because you're like the only girl on that team, and you need to breathe, and there's just like a lot going on, and you want to keep up. And how can you communicate to management that I need to learn these things without without coming off as incompetent. And you know, you being the girl, you have to not fall your hand, right? So in that kind of context, how do you say, oh, okay, yes, I'm trying my best to like catch up with everything that's going on around me, but I still want to achieve this level of competency. How do you communicate that in a way that yes. Then the second one.
Can I answer the first one?
Yes,
can I answer the first
so
one?
This is for my friend.
Can I answer this one and then you ask the second one?
Yes.
How are diamonds made? Under pressure. Yeah. Right? First thing is the pressure you're going through refiner's fire, you will come out, you'll be fine. The second thing is you need to get comfortable with saying, I don't know. It's okay. That pressure is coming, there's a pressure that's coming from them, there's a pressure that's coming from you. Open your mouth and say, I don't know, but if you give me XYZ time, I will have it figured out. That's what you need to do.
Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry. It's very, very short. I think everybody benefit from this. The second one, so my friend, she's a special data scientist, and she has delayed giving birth to children for like 2 years.
Right.
So now she's pregnant, and she's trying to combine work, and there's like a decline in her productivity and all of that. And we're having this discussion on Wednesday, and I was like, when I come to STA, I would ask it. Right. So how exactly do you transition? How do you manage all of that? Because it's obvious that she's not being productive. And she's feeling bad, and she's like, I should have delayed this more. So and I'm like, I don't think I want to go through this process.
I get it. I think in the time in which she was delaying, one question I would ask, and maybe it's also something to think on, when you're doing all of that and you're delaying time before you have kids, what you should be doing actually is you should be building your capacity. You should be building people capacity. You should be building skill capacity, which means the skill sets that you'll probably need at this time, it's changed. It's most likely not the same. If you're someone who is, I'm sure it's a technical role, yes, there might have been a need for her, and this is why you need to bring other people up with you. People capacity is one thing that a lot of women struggle with, right? Even I struggle with it. If you're able to train somebody to do stuff like you, what you focus on doing is delegating to them while you recover. It's a system. You need to build a system. But that system, you need to build your capacity. For anyone who is in a time where you're actually delaying something that you know might slow your body down, because your body will slow down as a woman, build capacity in the meantime.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for Onyeka. So to wrap things up, how can these women connect with you? Maybe they want to have further conversations with you, maybe paid consultations with you, or maybe join your academy. How can they reach out to you and connect with you?
If you follow me on Instagram, there's a link on my bio. My Instagram is onyeka.nwobu. That's ONYEKA.NWOBU. There's a link in my bio, and it says to join. I think it says to join my exclusive community. I think that's it. If you join in, we have a lot of things that have been in the works that we are now launching. So if you join me, that's the best way that I can help at this time.
So Onyeka.nwobu, ONYEKA.NWOBU.
Yeah, or if you prefer LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, so please can we give her a very resounding round of applause as she leaves the stage. Thank you so much, Onyeka. This was such an amazing conversation. And now we have come to the end. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, we have come to the end of this conversation. Did we love it? Yes. What are our takeaways? Great. All you have to do, please, would love to see your takeaways from these conversations. Just use the hashtag on social media, hashtag SCA Summit 24. We're going to be joining them back in the main hall, but we're going to be using this route to get to the main hall, the staircase, and then back into the main entrance. We'll do that orderly, very demure, very cutesy, very mindful. But please, let's make it very